I'm starting with 3 of these 5 by 7 inch frames, and I cut these backing boards to fit each frame using some photo backing that I found in my attic. My house was actually previously owned by an artist, so I have more than I'll ever need. And so I painted them all 3 coats of vintage lace by Fusion. And so now I have my castings all ready. I'm using my Cadre mold and my Acanthus scroll mold. My castings are fresh and warm, and these are all soft and flexible. I'm using amazing casting. It's Amulite amazing casting resin, and I love this tan off white color. It's just so easy to paint. And so with they're nice and flexible, they're easy to mold the shape. So I have my super glue gel and adding that to the back, and I have my accelerator right there. And so I'm placing these sweet cherubs on the bottom to kind of look like footrests. And another thing that I really love about this resin is you don't have to paint it if you don't want to. It looks very nice just how it is. And the accelerator, I will be sure to link all that down below, but one little squirt and it's cured instantly. And then I'm going to add from my Wreaths and Swags mold, and I duplicated each design. So I have this larger one on the bottom and that shorter one at the top. I'm a bit captivated with the Cadre mold and the Wreaths and Swags mold. I'm using them so much lately. And of course, if you don't have these types of mold, Amazon has some beautiful options that are far cheaper. I cast 4 of this little beaded trim using my Acanthus mold. And if you watch Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse, you may recognize where I found this inspiration. And of course, I made these designs my own, but I absolutely love this trim and was so excited to finally use it in a project. And I'm running the bead trim along the inside of the frame, and I'm starting with the larger at the top and then working my way halfway, and then I'll repeat the same process from the bottom. And I wasn't loving the gap on the bottom, so I cast 2 more of the larger beads and then just tuck those in there, and I really like how that looks. I don't end up using this artwork, you'll see here in a few minutes, but I decided to go with this Rococo Portraits collection by Erin at the Provincial Farmhouse, and that's only $6.83 on Etsy. Digital prints, you can print them on any paper that you'd like. So I chose mulberry paper, and I'm covering the photo backing with some Mod Podge, and I'm going to set that aside to dry. For my second frame, I already have this design cast from my Regal Flourishes mold and just gluing it using some more of that glue gel and the accelerator. And this is nice. You can work really fast, no waiting for glue to dry. It's perfect. And then just tucking this little bit of overhang down onto the frame. And while I have my resin out, I just began filling molds. And so I decided that this trim here would look lovely along the sides. And I have a bit of overpour here, and I'm not worried about that. Just so easy to clean it up. Some of these pieces you can just pull away because they're still warm. And then I'm going to glue these along the outside rim of the frame. And I did cut one a little bit too short. That's okay. I just cut a little tiny piece and tucked it right in there. You'd never even know. And for this one, I cast these really pretty, delicate flowers from my Timeless Ties mold. They are just so beautiful, and I think they look good on almost anything. I actually used these on a previous project for a teapot handle, and I just love how that turned out. These flowers are very easy to cast with resin. Clay not so much, but resin definitely was the best choice for these frames because they have a bit of overhang. And using resin really gives me the flexibility and the durability I need without having to worry about any of them breaking. And I have this arch design here, and this is from my Cadre mold again. I'm able to gently bend and shape it to fit the frame, and then adding more glue and repeating the same process. These were just so fun to make. I love creating frames. They're one of my favorite things to design because there's just so many ways to personalize them and make them unique. And then for the bottom of the frame, I cast this beautiful design from my Enlightened Etchings mold. And I have to apologize, I did lose a bit of footage. I added these details to the inside of the frame and the outside of the frame from my Reason Selects mold. And now I'm going to paint all three of them in the color sand. And this is a clay-based paint by Mudpaint. And I picked this up at a local barn board. It's just a place that sells barnwood. And it's right down the street from my house. So I give this 2 full coats. Next, I have my artwork cut to fit. My Mod Podge is dry, and I have my parchment paper and my iron. We're going to do the iron-on method, and this is going to reactivate that glue so my image just kind of melts right into it. Now, one step that I didn't mention before this, I sprayed all of these with Rust-Oleum's Clear Matte Sealer. I have an inkjet printer, so I do have to worry about bleeding. So I sprayed both the front and the back of all of them, let them dry. That black and white image you see there, I did the same with that, but it just turned blue. I need a laser printer. It's just another thing I need to buy. But once they're all adhered, I'm going over them with Paint Couture's Dead Flat Sealer. And this is just as it says, it's dead flat. There's no shine to this. This is great. And then for my frames, I went over it with Paint Couture's Extreme Guard in Satin. And this is going to give a nice soft shine. It's going to seal in that milk paint. I'm just going a little light-handed. I don't want this to go into all the recessed areas and just, puddle up in there. And then I let that dry, and now I have Paint Couture's Crackle Step 1, and I'm going over my entire frame, not my castings, and then I'll let it dry 30 minutes till it's tacky, and then go in with Crackle Step 2. And then I'll let that dry for about another 30 minutes, and I'm doing the same with all three. I completely forgot that I wanted to add these transfers for a pop of gold and some lovely typography, and thought I would just chance applying them over the crackle. And to my surprise, I had no issues at all. They transferred over nicely. And I just went over them with a little bit of Extreme Guard, again in satin. And it didn't deter from the crackle. It didn't mess up my transfers. So just to put that out there, if you mess up like I do, it doesn't affect your project. And these gilded transfers are an older design by IOD, and the booklet's called Emporium. I wanted to add some detail to this oval inset here. So I found this sweet little rose, and I just separated the design so it would fit. And these are Midnight Rose transfers. And then, of course, I sealed that in as well. All three of my frames are going to get a glaze treatment. For this one, I'm using Dyke Brown Antique Glaze, and I'm brushing it all over, making sure to get it into all the low points and details to really bring out that beautiful texture and dimension. And then I'll wipe back as much as I want until I get the look that I'm after. And I really like that dark, heavy look. The Dyke Brown is actually my favorite. And then for this frame, I'm using light brown sugar glaze and just repeating the same process. Even though I want all three pieces to feel like they belong together as a collection, I also want each one to have its own personality. I think this was such a fun way of bringing them together while still allowing each frame to have its own unique character. These are truly unique pieces that you won't find in a store, and that's the beauty of creating something with your own hands. Every piece has its own story and character. And just so you know, I'll have these frames along with many other of my designs available in my upcoming Whatnot show next Thursday at 7 p.m. And I would love for you to stop by and visit if you're interested. And the date is July 17th. And if you're watching in the future, it's 2026. And my twins, oh my gosh, guys, my twins' birthday is the day before, and they are 24 years old. I just can't believe it. Like, where has the time gone? Don't blink, right? Don't blink. And then for this one, I'm using Paint Couture's Amber Honey Glaze. This one is kind of in between Light Brown Sugar and Van Dyke Brown. It's so beautiful. I love this one. And repeating the same steps. And with the same frame, I'm using my Verde green glaze, and I'm starting along the bottom, applying it close to my castings, and then blending and softening, wiping back where I need to with a damp rag. I'm being careful not to push too much of the glaze into my castings. I want it to feel as though this frame has been touched by time, almost like it was discovered in an old abandoned mansion where moisture maybe settled in and little hints of moss or maybe algae began to develop over the years. I love imagining that each piece has a story to tell, and I think Aaron's digital prints do exactly that. They inspire me to create pieces that feel like they've lived a life before they ever made it into someone else's home. And if anyone's curious about that other artwork, I printed that off of the graphics fairy. She has all kinds of lovely designs. And then for this frame, I used Debbie's DIY Old 57, mixed it with water to create a wash. And this is going to create another beautiful patina style finish, almost like the look that you get on aged silver, perhaps. And just repeating the same process, blending and softening as I go. And if this style isn't your thing, you can totally skip all of this. I know not everyone loves the heavier, more texture, kind of crunchy, grungy look or the aged patina finish, and that's completely okay. This is all about inspiration. Take the elements you love from these projects and make them your own. There are so many ways to finish these pieces and create something that fits your personal style. And as I mentioned earlier, the castings are beautiful on their own, even without any paint or glaze. I think the details really shine no matter how you choose to finish them. And then for this frame, I took the color Winchester, and that is by Fusion, and just watered it down just a little bit. Not necessarily a wash, but it will help the paint move around a little more. And I'm going over all the roses with this. And then I have the color Blush. It's a Luxe metallic, and I'm going to go over the other florals in this design. Not really worried about getting it into the low points. I don't want to obscure all that lovely glaze. And then I got Pyrite Luxe Metallic and going over all the leaves. I'm going to go back and forth between the floral colors, layering a bit of the light blush over the Winchester, and then adding touches of Winchester back over the light blush. By blending the two colors, it creates more depth and dimension and gives the florals a softer, more natural finish. and then bringing the pyrite around the leaves on the sides. And then I took antique gold, again, another Luxe metallic, and I'm going to go over the top design and the bottom, but it was looking a little bit too bright for me. So then I went over them both with some bronze metallic paint just to soften it a little bit. I just felt like the bright gold was just too loud for this frame. And then brought those same floral colors into the oval inset to tie everything together. At first I added the Winchester, but then I'll go in here in a second and just dab on a little bit of the blush, but you did see there I added some of the pyrite around that oval inset. And I'm going to go over my florals one more time with the colors, and then now that everything's dry, lightly highlighting them with a little bit of white paint. I don't want to apply too much, just a very light touch, hitting the raised areas and just bringing out all those beautiful details and just adding another layer of dimension. And I'm going to do the same finishing step to all three frames. I did decide to go back and add some Verde green glaze to this other frame as well. I originally wasn't going to add any, but I really loved the way it looked and felt like it added just the right amount of aged character. And then once I was done, I sealed everything in with Extreme Guard satin, and that's it. I think these are absolutely beautiful. They are even more than I envisioned when I first started the project. I also want to give credit to Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. As I mentioned her earlier, her digital prints are absolutely beautiful, and so much of my inspiration for these projects and other projects that I've shared have come from watching her work. She's taught me so much about finishes, techniques, and looking at ordinary pieces in a completely different way. And I'm just so grateful for the inspiration and the knowledge that she shared through her projects. Of course, I took that inspiration and made these frames my own through my own design choices, the molds I used, and the way I brought all the details together. I think that's the beauty of creating. Someone else's work can inspire us, teach us something new, and encourage us to create something that reflects our own style and inspiration. And I hope these frames inspire you to look at everyday pieces a little differently and see the possibilities that are waiting there. Whether it's Dollar Tree frames or something you already have at home, or something on the side of the road. There's always so many ways to transform something simple into something truly unique. If you like this video, you know what to do, and if you love it, hype me up. Thank you for spending time with me today. Until the next one, bye.